So how do you value Bitcoin? This is something that people say to me all the time when they're learning about Bitcoin. They want to understand, hey, it says over $7,000 right now. Like, how is that possible? Let's see if I can adjust this on the screen. Um, but how's that possible? Well, I got this video, and I'll include a link to the video in my description. But this is the kind of stuff that I love to cover on my channel because I don't think enough people understand, what Bitcoin is all about, what the technology is all about. Why am I so crazy about it? Listen, I have a strategy right now, and if you want to kind of follow part of my strategy, I don't usually give a lot of specifics, but if you want to follow part of it, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel. Click that bell notification icon. I call it the $1 billion Bitcoin strategy. I literally believe that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technology is going through the roof. With that being said, I'm not, a professional money manager, financial advisor, or expert. So I'm just an amateur having fun. I'm a small business owner. I have, traditional investments, but this is my most speculative, most exciting investment, period. And I always recommend people invest a little bit each and every month and grow it over time. However, how to value Bitcoin. How to value Bitcoin. In this video is a very boring video, and some of the stuff he says I don't think is easy terminology for everyone to understand. So just to kind of break down some of what he says, and if you're familiar with financial jargon, you'll be fine watching this video. Like I said, I'll include a link below. But part of what he talks about measuring the value of Bitcoin and how to measure it. And he talks about if you look at the size of the network. Now, when he says that terminology, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure he's talking about the mining network or what does he mean by that. But he said if you roughly look at the size of the network square, meaning you times it against itself, then he said that in network type, cohesive social network type environments, that number usually follows the value pretty well. And he gave the example of valuing Google this way and Facebook and Alibaba, etc. So that part I wasn't 100% sure on. He showed some graphs that were compelling. However, this next part is the part that was very fascinating. In this video, he says gold's roughly about a $6 trillion, a $9 trillion market cap, roughly. This video is probably 4 or 5 months old, but he says that it's roughly about a $9 trillion market cap. And he says that a lot of people are seeing gold as a digital asset or a digital store of value, like digital gold. That's how the people are seeing Bitcoin. And he's exactly right on that. I believe that's one of the best use cases at this current time for Bitcoin for a lot of reasons. But he said, following that model alone, if conservatively, if Bitcoin only captures 5% of the gold market, 5%. So you need to understand who owns gold, because the average person doesn't own gold as a store of value. But investors are oftentimes told to hold 5 to 10% of their portfolio, individual investors, 5 to 10% of their portfolio into precious metals, gold and silver. And he's only talking about gold. He's not talking about gold and silver. He's only talking about gold. Some people hold platinum as well. And the reason you do this is against inflation risk. It's kind of an insurance policy. Another thing that people are told to do is they're told to hold alternative currencies in some cases, like the euro, the yen, things like that. Again, for the same purpose. It's to protect your overall wealth against major inflation, kind of an insurance policy, if you will. However, here he's only talking about the gold market, and he says if 5% of the gold market moved into Bitcoin, they would project about a $25,000, here, I'll bring it over here, about a $25,000 price. That means roughly Bitcoin's going to more than triple right now. I am so glad that I own Bitcoin right now, and I have Bitcoin investments that are providing cash flow. However, he talked about how this is conservative. He said gold. He said this price came up if you consider the fact of the gold value not appreciating. Gold appreciating at its current rate minus inflation. Now, if you know anything about investing in gold, a big portion of gold's value is related to inflation. So he made this price prediction assuming no inflation on the gold price. He also did it assuming that inflation rates remain stable and don't speed up. They stay very consistent. Now there are some studies that say that we are in an inflationary market, and that inflation's been picking up ever since the government got involved, probably what, since 2008 in the economy through the Federal Reserve. So he said, assuming that inflation rates stay very stable, in other words, their prediction is very conservative. And he said, assuming that gold price only goes up at the rate of GDP or minus inflation. Now this gets good. And assuming investors only have 5% of their alternative currency portfolio into Bitcoin. Only 5%. And he says many investors have 10 or 15%. So he was assuming 5%. What he's saying here is he's trying to be very conservative. He says if you choose not to be conservative, you could easily create a scenario where Bitcoin hit $100,000 or $200,000. And that's just based off of there's other reasons. Countries adopting Bitcoin as a national currency can send it well beyond that, in my opinion. He goes on to give an example of how Bitcoin could go up, and he just touches on this briefly, and he talks about a hedge fund. Now listen to this. I just told you central governments could send it through the roof. He said hedge funds could easily, triple the projected price if they moved in. And he gave an example of a particular hedge fund that was getting started for about it was a $500 million hedge fund. Hedge funds oftentimes use leverage to be able to move into the market. He said they would be able to control approximately $2.5 billion in assets. He said if they tried to move into Bitcoin, there's not $250 billion of Bitcoin available on the open market to buy right now. So he said you could see a massive price spike where the price could triple whatever the current market would dictate prior to. He said that alone would triple the price. So if it's at 7,000 now, just that one price spike could triple it to 21,000 or more. If it's at 25,000, that one price spike could triple it from that one hedge fund, a $500 million hedge fund, could triple it from 25,000 to 75,000. Let me tell you something. If a central bank or government moves into Bitcoin, they're going to move in with far more than $2 billion. Again, that's my opinion. The future of Bitcoin is bright. The value is going to go up, up, up. It's going to be volatile. It's going to pull down sharply. It's going to go up. It's going to drop 10% in a day, 20% in a day. It's going to go up 5%, 10%, 20%. But you want to learn about Bitcoin. You want to understand it. Subscribe to my channel. Click that notification icon. Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up. Like this video. Please help me out. Help me get the word out there. Let's spread the knowledge out there about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And one more thing. I would love to hear your price prediction. Put it down in the comments. Tell me what you think and why do you think it. I would love to hear what you have to say about where you think the price of Bitcoin is going. Thank you for watching.